So in the new update on Solo Leveling Arise, they gave us our own choice. This is really cool. Our own choice of a heroic blessing stone and a heroic rune. So we're going to talk about that here today. Be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Post down below what you're going to get. As you see, we're starting off with the blessing stones. And the first thing I want to do with this is I want to kind of cut some of the fat, basically. Eliminate some of the ones I personally wouldn't recommend. The tip I want to give you guys to start things off is two things. First and foremost, choose what you like. I know that's kind of like a cliche thing to say. Choose what you like, what works for you with your own play style. If you need more speed, you need more dashes, you need more tankiness. Maybe you've got other amazing offensive runes. You want to do a combination, or maybe you just want to style on them with the daily quest completion. Go for it if that's what you want to do. So, Patrick, thank you for subscribing. If you're new, another thing you could do is subscribe, just like Patrick did. About 80% of viewers aren't subscribed. Make sure you do subscribe. All right. So my next tip is DPS is king, and it's really not close. I just said if you want to go for whatever you want, perfect. But I'm going to eliminate all of the defense ones. Just flat out. I wouldn't pick a single one that's defense-based. That doesn't mean they're not good. That doesn't mean they're not useful. It means they're subpar in comparison to the offense-based ones. Why? Because, again, like I just said, DPS is king, especially with this type of stuff where with Sung Jinwoo, you don't need to invest in his defense whatsoever. The only defense you need to be getting is from artifacts. If it's like a substat on there, additional defense, blah, blah, blah. That's the only defense you really need. HP, whatever. You can get it from support characters, blah, blah. You get the point. But in terms of this stuff, the only defense you really need is your Shadow Step. So keep that in mind. You want to go full offense. And so with that in mind, we're going to eliminate Kendiaru's Blessing here. Max HP increase. Tenacity makes you take less damage. Casca Steel Fang makes you take less damage as well. Like these things, this one's good. I like this one. When you're low, you take less damage. But at that point, I'd rather just be doing more damage, right? So that's my point, right? Daily quest completion. I feel like daily quest completion, I don't know the legendary version, but I feel like this is kind of redundant. It's like the gain there, I think, is only for, another second, a couple seconds, which is not bad, don't get me wrong, but ideally you're turning that into more damage. So again, same situation. Daily quest completion is one that you use in conjunction with like 3 other offense-based ones, right? So the Casca Steel Scales, you shouldn't even choose this because you should have just got one of these from your level. When you hit level 80, you should have got one of these, right? I think everyone did. Unless it was a randomized thing, I don't know, but I got one of those. So Advanced Dagger Technique is an interesting one. So when the opponent is 70% or less, your damage increases by 8.4%. This is almost a pseudo Executioner. It's like the same thing. So if you wanted to put this on, that would be a huge boon to you. As the opponent gets low, then they're just going to take a crap ton more damage, and it starts really, really adding up. And so I think this is probably low-key one of the better ones you can pick up just in general. Speed is kind of a funny one because it increases your movement speed, everything, so that's good, right? You're going to be able to do more damage as a result of moving faster, having more dashes, turning into more Shadow Steps. This is a niche one, but it's one of those ones that you plug in. Now, some of these are really good in conjunction. It just kind of depends on what your build is sometimes, right? Like, speed can be really, really strong in conjunction with Swiftness and Boss Slayer, which also, manipulates your dash count, cooldown, things like that. So some of this stuff kind of depends on the build you're using. So I would also personally ignore Mana's Rampage. That one gives you, I think, 600 more mana. Monarch's Domain makes your shadows do more damage. This one's a dark horse. I haven't been able to test it a ton yet, so I don't have a lot of opinions on it yet. I'm going to do a separate video on that one. If you want to wait for that, that's totally fine. Sharp Perception is low-key another one that's probably top tier, S tier, one of the best ones on the page. Increasing your critical hit rate is much harder to do than increasing your critical hit damage up to a maximum number. And so in my opinion, this is one that I think you should definitely put on. If you have it and you haven't been using it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Even, to be honest, even if it's just the regular rarity and not like heroic or legendary, I think it's one that you could probably make do for. Obviously, it depends what you're trying to do once again. But critical hit rates, DPS, critical hit damage, all that stuff. With Sung Jinwoo, it's just king. It just is what it is. And so this one increases your critical hit rate by 2% for 8 seconds when your hit lands. And it stacks up to 5 times, so 10% total for 8 seconds. It's probably going to be closer to like 4 seconds because it takes a little bit of time to land those hits maybe. So anyway, that's one that's really, really good. Reawakening is solid, right? Skill cooldown goes down, but again, probably just need more damage. So another couple. We have a couple more here that are really, really top-end ones. So if you're keeping track, Sharp Perception, Dagger Technique. Next to Pulverize and Bloodlust. Bloodlust, excuse me, I was going to say something else there, is a really interesting. So when you're hit, it decreases the attacker's attack, but when you attack, it decreases the opponent's defense. So it'll help you do more damage more consistently. The thing with Bloodlust, though, specifically, is that it's one that you, again, use in conjunction with more stronger offense-based ones. And I wouldn't depend on this too much. You can kind of get the benefit from this in terms of the offensive benefit by reducing their defense through your Shadow Step once again. So it's kind of one of those things. But the defensive utility by reducing their attack is pretty good. It's one of the best ones here in terms of giving you both. Pulverize is insane for the break manipulation. It's the best rune in the game in terms of like break manipulation, and it's not close. The power of your it's like the only one. There's like another one, but whatever. The power of your break effects increases by 18%. The damage you deal to targets in the break affected by break effect increases by 18%. So you're much more efficient at breaking. So this is, again, another set in the solid analysis set, but pretty much is a little bit different. That's pretty much what this is, right? So you have some niche ones like Wolf Assassin, Boss Slayer. These ones are good for specific pieces of content. They do give you more damage, but I wouldn't really lean into those. Chains of Blood is another S tier one we'll get to in a second. Let's go over at Conqueror of Adversity and Demon Slayer. Conqueror of Adversity gives you stat bonuses when you get hit by a certain amount of damage. Every time your HP decreases by 30%, you get 2.4% attack, defense, and HP 3 times. So I don't like this because it's dependent on you getting hit by a certain amount of damage, which is not the hardest thing to do in harder content because you're not investing much in defense like I mentioned earlier. But 2.4%, no time limit, it's a good effect. It just attack and defense, HP, things like that. So it's a good one, but it's not my favorite. Now, Demon Slayer here increases your MP as well by 600, which is the same as Mana Rampage, actually. Oh, no, I got them mixed up. Your attack will increase, but skill mana consumption goes up. That's what it was. I got those two mixed up. I thought it looked very different than that. Chains of Blood and Double-Edged Sword are two S-tier ones as well. Your attack damage increases by 18% of your lost HP ratio, but also increases your damage taken by the same amount. So Chains of Blood is damn crazy because here's the thing. If you take a hit, and again, you don't invest in defense, if you take a hit that eats like 80% of your life off, and you're going to get 18% proportional to the amount of that you took off, right? It's going to be an insane. I've seen the blue Chains of Blood spike my damage like insanely. So this is one that's amazing. It's also a really good combo with Conqueror of Adversity because they both are dependent on you getting hit for big numbers, right? So you see what I mean when I say some of these, and we'll talk a little bit more about some other combinations in here. But yeah, it's kind of what I mean. Double-Edged Sword, another S-tier one in my opinion, but it also goes really, really well with Chains of Blood or Conqueror of Adversity if you wanted to do that. So when your attack hits, your attack increases by 3% for 10 seconds, but the attack of the target also increases by 3%, stacking up to 4 times. The target, by the way, does not lose that attack bonus. They get 12% attack on you, and yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. So there's that. But again, that's not a bad thing with Chains of Blood and Conqueror of Adversity, right? Swiftness, that one's cool because it increases your dash, right? Yeah, you get to dash an additional times. That's cool. Fatal Strike and Weakness Detection are really good. Assassin Proficiency, I've had this for like damn near the entire time playing this game. Your back attack damage increases by 11%. This is pretty solid, but you've got to be very smart with how you use it. So you got to always stay behind the opponent, obviously. You also want to, that's not hard to do with Shadow Steps, but it is kind of hard when they start moving out of that Shadow Step, right? HP Extraction's kind of whatever. Recover 1.2% of your HP. This is that one is completely irrelevant, to be honest with you, unless you're playing a stage with hordes. But you don't really need to worry about healing like that. It just kind of is what it is. Fatal Strike interacts with your break gauge, right? Yeah, this is the one. Your target's break gauge instantly decreases by 3% when you land a critical hit. Excuse me. So that one's pretty self-explanatory. So let's just go ahead and just wrap this back up. Weakness Detection makes you do more damage if you have type advantage, so it's a solid one. So the S-tier choices are as follows. Advanced Dagger Technique, Sharp Perception. I was going to say Reawakening Bloodlust. I think those are the tier below. I think that kind is the tier below. But Pulverize, Chains of Blood, those are the S-tier choices. A-tier choices would be the other choices like Double-Edged Sword, Bloodlust Reawakening is a solid one, things like that. So for me personally, I think I'll actually take Advanced Dagger Technique. I think that's the one that I don't have that I would like to have the most. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to grab here. So there you go. I meant to talk about more of the combinations. Let's do that really quick. But really quick, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you decided to take. All right, so let's move over to the Blessing Stones. We kind of already covered a lot of the combinations, to be honest. The reason why I just kind of ignored some of those defense ones is because they just kind of plug in similar to the recovery one. What's it called? Daily quest completion. They just kind of plug in as a fourth. That's just kind of what they do. So another fun combination is the full defense style one. If you have some crazy offense, you can do some really interesting defense stuff with these. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can go Cask of Steel Scales, Tenacity, and then from there also put on Kendiaru Blessing for more HP with the daily quest completion. That's full defense. Camouflage, I didn't really talk about it. Camouflage is kind of whatever once again. Makes you take damage. When you receive damage, you get to go invincible. I've never used that one effectively. I had it, but never really used it effectively. Pulverize, along with, where's that other one? Fatal Strike, Pulverize, with Sharp Perception. That's another combination, those three together. That can work out pretty well, help you increase your critical, help you break down the opponent faster, things like that. All right, let's move on from here. I don't want to spend too much time because I'm already 11 minutes in. So let's go over to the skills. And here's a quick thing I want to say. With the skills, obviously choose one you don't have, unless you want the dupe, I guess. You know, one thing I was considering with the Blessing Stone was I was considering getting a dupe because I'm one purple dupe away from a chance to roll for a legendary. I was like, I really thought about it. But I decided to settle for the dagger technique, right? Anyway, choose one you don't have. So there are several amazing runes all over the place, regardless of which skills are the better ones. But I will still tell you which ones are the better ones to prioritize. Death Dance, the Almighty Break, Armor Break move. Those are the two that I would primarily recommend you work on. Multi-Strike is another one to consider, right? And then the other one to consider would be Commander's Touch, in my opinion. Those are the main four I would work on for various reasons. In terms of other things you can grab, like I'm not going to grab anything here. You can grab some DPS-based one, the Vital Strike or Mutilate, things like that. But those other ones are the main ones I would recommend investing in. Let's go ahead and circle back over here. And I'm not going to treat this one the same way. I'm not going to go through all these individual goddamn runes because there's just so much in here. There's too many in here to go through individually. So focus on those skills primarily. And focus on what you don't have, like I mentioned. So process of elimination. Next thing I want to tell you, which skills out of the ones you don't have an element or something like that. If it's a breaking skill, an element skill, which ones do you need more? So that's where it comes down to you individually with your own discretion, right? Comes down to what you need. So what I'll tell you is, because like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time, you know, in terms of going through that. What I'll tell you is, I think, just to give you a few, I think the best ones are going to be this one here, Decimation, which I already have. For the Almighty Break, crit hit damage by 50% is pretty damn insane. I really like this one here. Increases defense if you want that, but the Invincible is nice. Death Stance has, like, all of them are good. All of them are good on Death Stance if you want it. All of them are good on Multi-Strike. I think that, what I'll say is I think there's actually probably an increased focus and importance on Fire right now with this new update. So don't sleep on Fire. And lastly, in terms of Commander's Touch, don't sleep on some of these runes in here. Like this one here, I got really good use out of increasing my power gauge. That's pretty damn good. And then there's also some combinations. So if you have some skills that combo, right, with their reducing the cooldown of whatever, things like that, and you've got higher rarity runes on some of those, consider that as well. So that's what I'll say in terms of that. So what I'll do is I'm going to use my own logic, process of elimination. I have a few choices here. I like this one here, combos into vertical arts and makes them take more damage. This is actually a really good one. Vertical arts can do really good damage. I really like the Fire rune on vertical arts. Yeah, extra damage to bosses, 45%. Oh, I think I want that one. The problem is it's wind to fire. I don't really like that combination specifically. This one does a freeze. I mean, it's kind of whatever outside of that. Death Dance increases damage. Power gauge is charged by 1% when your attack hits. But this is a weak break. Okay, but it hits 3 times. You don't need wind right now, though. It's like water, fire, primarily. That's pretty much primarily what you're looking for. Critical hit rate bonus here, though. Damn. That's right. This multi-strike is low-key one of the better ones. That multi-strike and this death dance, which I already have, that increased critical hit. Those two, this one here, these are the primary ones. If they say critical hit, they're primary. I may actually grab this. Because so like what happens is, yeah, you want to use advantaged elements, but at the same time, yeah, I'm going to grab that multi-strike. At the same time, you don't have to do that. You want to focus more on whatever's going to yield the most damage. So if I get more critical hit rate and damage, then that just means I'm going to shred them faster. So that's primarily what I'm looking for. So let's grab it. I think it's this one. It's only 4% though now. But you get to use this one twice, right? Resets the cooldown, yeah. So you can use it twice. I'm gonna grab that one. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna deliberate too much. I'm just gonna do it. That's a really good skill, so I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. That's a really good skill. So we'll equip it. Yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap there. What did you choose? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, help us hit our like goal by hitting that thumbs up. Also, support me through the Netmarble Creator Program. And if you do that, links down below in the description. I can give you guys some awesome gifts. I've still got several gift codes for 1,000 soul lessons. No, I don't give you a code. It just kind of gets shot directly to you in your gift box. But anyway, support me. Links down below in the description. All right, guys.